Okay. And he uses sensory imagery to create this. However, in Storm on the Island, Seamus Heaney uses futility to describe that nature is taken for granted. Huge nothing that we fear. The huge nothing and fear juxtapose the oxymoron used to show the futility of war. We is a collective pronoun, and this can show that we as a collective take nature for granted, to try and feel less guilty that nature has turned on us. Okay, some really nice phrasing there, but we can up-level it somewhat. So what I'll try and do is, you have a little think about it, and get some paper, and then we'll redraft it, okay? So we like the point, don't we? Both poets. So if I were you, I'd get some of this written down as well, just in case. Both poets use war to exaggerate how powerful nature is. So you'd have already introduced both of the poems. So in your intro, you'd have introduced that you're going to speak about exposure and Storm on the Island. Okay? So this is just the start of an analytical paragraph. It's not your introduction. In exposure, Owen uses personification to emphasize that nature is a bigger threat than man. Merciless, iced east winds that Nivers is an example of this. So it's just completing that phrasing or that expression. Now, we have to analyse the fact that there's personification and not, because what Bradley does here is he quickly moves on now to explain a key phrase, but he hasn't actually analysed the personification or the reason why personification has been chosen. And that's something that we must do. So, what is it about that technique? Why has he specifically used personification? And how is that quotation personification? Somebody, how is that quotation personification? Mikey?
Because it's saying that the wind is an agent.
Okay, good. So that's how we need to explain it first, all right? And this will give you lots of different layers of analysis. By giving the wind such an aggressive and violent action through Nivers, we can understand or begin to understand the situation of the soldiers in war. Because obviously we're talking about war there as well. Why does Owen choose personification to do that? Why doesn't he just say that the iced east winds were violent and aggressive? They were horrendous. Why does he say that they knive us? Well?
Is it because it's what the enemy should be doing, but it's the nature instead?
Good. Yeah, so I'll just make a note of that in the margin. Harvey?
Did you talk about how, like, the propaganda that made Owen join the war, sort of like stabbed him in the back because of how it was like war
Nice. No. Okay. So two layers of analysis already before we've even talked about anything else, anything that Bradley said kind of later on. So by giving the action to the weather, it highlights how in war it was not the enemy that soldiers had to consider, but also the conditions they were in. Owen states this. I'm going to bring in some more evidence later on through the poet persona. Through the poet persona, when he outlines nothing happens. Indicating that that because of a lack of battle, it was indeed the weather who had become the enemy, the main enemy. So that just gets Will's point in there. Yeah, the idea of it was the weather that became the more dominant enemy there. This also, let's get someone choose a nice phrase from their connective maps, and so we can get Harvey's point in.
Furthermore.
Furthermore.
That's good, surely.
A dish furthermore.
I didn't even look at it as well.
There you go. It's just nature now. The power of nature in your brain. Furthermore, it could be suggested that not the position, direction the east winds holds feelings of betrayal from the soldiers' homelands, that he now feels.
Yes, is it east winds because it'd be like blowing down the trench?
Yeah.
And it's like,
But you could also say, because you're saying about it being a level of betrayal from home in the propaganda, you could also say that that's directional, like it's going into, like, stabbing him in the back, like you said. Yeah. That's the point I was going to get in there. Okay, so that he now feels the knife action is stabbing the reason for signing up to the war would have been sold in propagandous ways. And perhaps now the soldier is reflecting on this. What I do then is talk about Owen's beliefs, because you know and I know about the fact that Owen didn't agree with war, and it was almost, and if you look at the title, this was an exposure, not only the soldier being exposed, but so were Britain, in a sense, because he was exposing people to the realities of war and to the fact that propaganda missold those opportunities. Does that make sense? Okay. I will get the comparison done. We'll do that on Monday.